Hey there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host Simon Conboy. Today's episode is an entry into the quarterback Quandary series, and we'll be focusing on the Arizona Cardinals. For those of you who haven't seen any episodes in this series before, I'll be breaking down the current depth chart of the team and discussing what options are available to them for both the short term and the future in order to address the quarterback position. With regards to the Cardinals, this is a little bit of a change of pace from the other episodes that have been done in this series. All the other teams have an immediate need at quarterback. That's not necessarily the case with Arizona. Carson Palmer, it appears we've got at least one more year of him playing the position. He was better than a lot of people think last year. The offensive line really struggled due to injuries. The receiving group underperformed as a whole, including the very disappointing Michael Floyd, who's now gone. John Brown had some injuries. All in all, it was a bit of a disaster of a season. However, Palmer was not the biggest issue this team had. I think you saw enough from him last year to think he can still be successful, but he does need to have better protection than what he got last year in order to do so. So there's no doubt, barring injury or a significant decline in play, he's Arizona's guy heading into the 2017 season. However, beyond that, I'm not so sure. It really does feel like the window's closing on this team. Of course, Larry Fitzgerald in a similar boat with Palmer, where it was a year-to-year basis as to whether they retire. They've lost a lot of talent over the last couple of years. Some of the first-round draft picks haven't shown enough yet. Well, not just first round, some of the high draft picks the last 3-4 seasons haven't shown enough. So replenishing that talent pool that's left has not been an easy feat for them. So, assuming Palmer plays out this season, we look at the options that you've got on the roster. It's certainly uninspiring. You've got Drew Stanton, who's an experienced backup, can play in a pinch, whether if he's got to play for any prolonged period of time. I'm not sure you can trust him to win you some critical games. Then we've got Blaine Gabbert, who's been brought in recently. Whilst he showed some degree of improvement in San Francisco, I don't think that's enough to think that he warrants being given an opportunity, a starting job anytime soon. And unless he really impresses them, I still have nightmares about how bad he was in Jacksonville. It's hard for me to envision Blaine Gabbert as a starting quarterback in the NFL ever again. Whether he can develop into a solid backup, I'm not so sure. Beyond that, you've got Zach Dysert. I'm not sure he's ever going to be an NFL starter. And some fellow called Trevor Knight, I'm guessing an undrafted rookie. I am not familiar with him. So there's no clear answers at the position. Part of my concern here as well is that this is a team that is getting older at a lot of key positions. When they lose Larry Fitzgerald, the receiving group will look particularly weak. The offensive line, Veldir and Upati are very good players. Beyond that, it's a mediocre group. Of course, you've got David Johnson, who's a wonderful help. So I'm not sure what they can look to do in the future. This team isn't likely to be bad enough to be picking particularly high in next year's draft. So players at the top of that group are highly unlikely to be available. So I think really with the Cardinals, you're looking at possibly Josh Rosen. There are some stories that he may well be available. There's a possibility Josh Allen will. I can't see Sam Darnold being available for them. And the Louisville quarterback, Lamar Jackson. I think Jackson is probably the best bet in terms of who they can scout, that regardless of where they end up drafting, there's a somewhat reasonable chance that he'll be available. I think the other three guys have more of a ceiling in terms of where they're drafted. or more of a floor where they're drafted. They have more prototypical skill sets, particularly Sam Darnold. I think the other guys I've got some question marks about, but Darnold, he does look the part, so certainly can't see him being available. Even then, Bruce Arians has been, is an older coach. He's been very clear that they're all about trying to push through to win a Super Bowl. How much longer he's also going to be coaching the team, I'm not so sure. Do I think he's got time or wants the time to utterly rebuild this team around a rookie quarterback? I don't believe that is the case. I think this is a team that will be looking, if Carson Palmer does indeed retire next off-season, I believe he'll be looking to the free agency market or for a potential trade to try and find him a quarterback for the short term. I think if there was a time they were going to look to get a QB, it was likely going to be this off-season. Give them some time to learn behind Carson Palmer, try and shorten up that turnaround time for the transition from quarterback to quarterback. Of course, they haven't done that. So, in terms of guys that would be available next year, it's pretty difficult. I'm not sure where this franchise will be by then. I think they'll be okay this year. I'm not sure they're going to be a playoff contender unless a lot of things go right for them. Last year, a lot went wrong. Still a well-coached team, and there's still a lot of talent there. But I'm not sure the spine of the team is solid enough for my liking. So, Kirk Cousins, I can't see that happening. I still suspect he's going to stay in Washington. If he doesn't, I'm not sure Arizona's necessarily going to be the spot where he ends up. I think Jay Cutler would have fit this offense very well. You never know. They could try and talk him out of retirement next off-season. But with a booth job, I'm not so sure he's going to want to return to the league. What other upcoming guys are there? I mean, there really isn't too much. This is one of the bigger quandaries that I think I've come across. I didn't think this episode would be as difficult to do as it was when I was looking into it. It's simply put, teams don't let franchise quarterbacks go. I think this Jimmy Garoppolo situation has further muddied the waters for a lot of what these teams can look to do. Who knows, that may even be a trend in the future if a team's got a really an aging quarterback. They've got a solid number two that they like, that they hold on to them. The only thing there that I think could push him out is if Garoppolo starts to push for it. Of course, Brady has made it very clear he wants to play well into his mid-40s. I can't see Garoppolo sitting beyond more than maybe 2 years. You'd have to figure. Otherwise, I'd be quite concerned with him in terms of wanting to get on the field and begin his NFL career proper, so to speak. I think he'd be a wonderful option for them in terms of the transition. That would probably be the best thing for them. However, what I suspect the most likely scenario is, and this is a player that's been linked with them in the past, is that Mike Glennon ends up being released by the Bears at the end of next season. If Palmer retires, I think Glennon is most likely the guy that takes over. As I said, Bruce Arians, I don't believe he sees himself as having the time in this league to develop a young rookie quarterback, still sees his team in a window of opportunity. Glennon seems to fit his offense. He's a big-armed, tall quarterback, can see the field, can throw the deep ball. Not the most mobile, but nor is Carson Palmer. That's not ever really been a huge concern of his. So that would be my suspicion. At this point in time, it's the only sort of clear plan of action I think the Cardinals can set in place would be for Mike Glennon to be the franchise quarterback, possibly for the short term. He's still a bit of a question mark at this point in his career. I do think that is likely to be the Arizona Cardinals' best option for 2018 at this point in time. as I say, we've got the college season to come, so who knows what may change there, where players will be projected, and of course the NFL season itself. A lot of these things could change, but at this point in time, that's what I see happening. So I think they ride out the year with Palmer. I don't think things go great, and next year I think we see Mike Glennon on the Arizona Cardinals as possibly a short-term answer at the quarterback, but we'll see what happens there. So there you have it. That's my analysis of the quarterback quandary facing the Arizona Cardinals. Let me know what you think. If you agree, disagree, have any thoughts on the situation, let me know, whether it's in the comments section below at the Cover Zero Facebook page, or find me on Twitter at Simon Conboy. I'll be more than happy to respond to each and every one of you that does make contact. As always, thanks very much for watching. If you could like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon, all that would be greatly appreciated. Got another episode of Cover Who coming up tomorrow, where I discuss a player that I feel has been somewhat forgotten since their retirement. The kind of player that would make the Hall very good. A top 10 list along with the weekly review and roundup coming on Friday. So check those out. As always, been a pleasure. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and go Bucks.